Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining for our TiE Wellness Masterclass today. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with being zombies now. Now, that is a thing when you spend too much time on Zoom. But hey, look at the bright side. It is better to be a zombie than a zombie. On behalf of TiE Dubai, welcome, welcome, welcome. Someone recently told me that I'm introducing TiE a bit too seriously, and it does not show all the exciting and probabilities, even scary elements that an entrepreneur experiences. I thought, let me give it a go to change my tone today, as the most that can happen is that I will fail in my humor. And that is a thing that all entrepreneurs go through. I'm glad wellness is the most spoken thing now, and it is becoming an agenda with companies, corporates, and even as families and individuals to seek out that time. The world, having been through a pandemic, definitely needs to seek more purpose and meaning in life. I'm sure all of you are looking forward to today's session. And as leaders, entrepreneurs, change makers, I think it's super important to be able to combine your personal and creative self to open up your superpowers. I hope that many of you will find the key to this superpower today. For all those who don't know much about TiE, TiE is this amazing organization that started in the Silicon Valley in 1992 by a handful of successful people who actually understood the journey to be successful entrepreneurs is tricky but possible. They realized the values of an ecosystem that needed to be created for many more people to begin their entrepreneurial adventure and thrive. TiE is now more than 60 chapters in more than 15 countries. The most amazing part of this organization is that it is run on the generosity and passion of many, many successful entrepreneurs who are leaders in their own right. While they work and help more people, they realize the importance of taking time out for wellness, and here we are with this special initiative. Called as charter members, they are willing to give back their valuable time and knowledge to the entrepreneurial community and ecosystem to build it further. They create time out of their very busy schedules to support aspiring as well as newer entrepreneurs and businesses on their journey to increase the chances of success. So how TiE functions is on 5 main pillars, namely mentoring, networking, education, funding, and incubation. While TiE has a global reach, we make sure we focus on the local ecosystem. There are some great programs which run for all the entrepreneurs out there. So right now, we actually have the applications open for the TiE University program. Do go onto our website. It's there on our LinkedIn page, Facebook, everywhere. All you need to look for is TiE Dubai and start following us and you'll get the information there. And the website is dubai.tie.org. That's the easiest way to be a part of this community. I'm not going to take any more time. So this is in a nutshell about TiE. Thank you all of you for being here. And I'm going to hand it over to somebody who is in the space and who's our charter member, Sana Sarjan. Without further ado, I hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Cicely. It was such a beautiful voice of goddess taking us through the journey of TiE. And speaking of superpowers, you very well put, we all have superpowers. And in fact, we are all born with it. And what is your superpower? That you are you. You are unique, and that is your superpower. TiE Wellness. What is TiE Wellness? Let's go through the manifesto itself. To start with, health is a state of body, but wellness is a state of being. Wellness is an active process of becoming aware of the making of your choices towards a healthy and fulfilling life. It is more than being free from illness. It is a dynamic process of change and growth together. A good or satisfactory condition of existence, a state of character which is characterized by health, happiness, and prosperity, welfare. Wellness is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease of infirmity. This is what the World Health Organization says. Well, for us at TiE, in the past year, we have had several workshops covering wellness areas to include spiritual, social, emotional, occupational, and physical activities as well. And we aim to cover all the dimensions of interest around wellness in 2021 and beyond. The platform for the initiatives to support well-being is for the subscribers, charter members, and wellness entrepreneurs. We bring numbers of workshops and topics such as stress management, time management, balance between work and personal life, covering 7 dimensions of wellness. Also, wellness-focused startups and support ecosystems, partners for the Alliance and content. Also, activities to promote physical activities and movements around physical wellness. Wellness partners to help and share our cause of wellness with a purpose of driven mindset. With this, I would like to bring forward a very, very beautiful soul who is bringing in a lot of positive energy, Mia Jafari, who is the founder and MD of the Yogipreneur. What a beautiful terminology, Yogipreneur. Mia has been leading international innovation and startup programs for over 12 years for organizations such as the Emirates Group, Commercial Bank of Dubai, Impact Hub, and the University of Arts, among many others. And she feels creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship is at the heart of sustainable economic growth. Mia's mission is to create an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, creatives, and change makers on their journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation that allows them to create the radical shift our world requires. And from all of this, whilst falling in love with their lives and feeling joy and inspiration along the way. With much further ado, I would like to welcome Mia Jafari to us.
Thank you so much, Sana, for the lovely introduction. I feel like I have a lot to live up to now, so thank you so much. Thank you for TiE for welcoming us on this masterclass. We're really looking forward to sharing the Creative Awakening process with you. So thank you so much for all the TiE team and everyone that's here today. So thank you for giving your time, and it's going to be a super dynamic session, so welcome. So I will share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Okay. So thank you for coming to the Awakening to Your Creative Personal Power to Create Your Future masterclass. So we're going to make sure that we jam this in with as much information as possible. So as Sana said, I'm Mia Jafari, and I'm the founder of Yogipreneurs, which connects spirituality with entrepreneurship. I also work, I'm also the Intellect Hub manager, which is a travel, aviation and tourism hub based in Dubai, supported by the Emirates Group, Dubai Tourism, etc., and Microsoft. And why the Yogipreneurs came about is that I was an entrepreneur myself for many years, and I didn't have these tools and practices, and I really, really struggled in life, and my business struggled. And over the years, I've worked on many entrepreneurship projects and with thousands of entrepreneurs around the world, and I've kind of seen that what is really missing is this kind of the personal growth side that will really help entrepreneurs live a life that's far more in balance and fulfilled, and that's where Yogipreneurs really comes about. And the Creative Awakening masterclass is really an introduction to the Creative Awakening program, which I co-run with Peter Harper from the Drunken Monk. I met Peter in Mandali, which is a beautiful retreat center in the mountains of Italy near Milan. And I tell everyone you must go to this place because it's stunning. And Peter really helps a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs and change makers really align with themselves and find balance and grounding and feel more present and open. So I'd like to welcome Peter, who's going to be, who I'll be interviewing, who's going to be my co-host on this session. Peter, it'd be lovely to hear maybe a little bit about you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mia. So my name is Peter Harper. So the Drunken Monk is a project that we started 2 years ago. The intention is really to bring spirituality into normal, busy daily lives. So combining east and west, you know, inner and outer, and finding a balance in our daily lives so that we can experience and fulfill ourselves and reach our full potential. So my journey really began when I was at university. I wasn't very satisfied with what I was doing. I wanted to discover really, who am I? What am I doing here? Where do I come from? And so I took a year out, which lasted about 12 years. I traveled all over the world. I spent a lot of time in India. And really with the question is like, you know, what is this meditation? What is my spirituality? What is my truth? And I then came back and I finished my degree eventually in computing, and I moved into the corporate world. And at the same time, I was trying to live that balance of the inner world and the outer world. And I've found some very powerful techniques and systems and narratives and tools that I've found from me personally and that I've shared with many people over the years that's been a very effective in finding that balance. And so the Drunken Monk that we started 2 years ago is kind of the flowering of that work. And I'm very happy to be here sharing the space here with Mia. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you. And so during this session, I know we have only about 40 minutes together, but just to kind of say this is a safe space. I know that you will not necessarily be sharing and we can't necessarily see you, but just to make sure that whatever is shared within our sessions is a safe space. And, you know, you can express, you can ask questions using the group chat. Everything will be kept in confidentiality. And as we like to, well, I like to say, imagine you're talking to your cat who responds back with wisdom. So feel that it's a safe space to share. And please use the group chat whenever you have questions. And at the end of the session, we'll come back to those questions. So before we get started, we always like to do a grounding meditation just to set in. And it's a bit busy day and we've all been running around. So we always love to do just a 2-minute grounding meditation to be present and really open to the new ideas that we're going to take in during this session. So Peter, it'd be lovely for you to lead a 2-minute grounding meditation for us so we can set in before we start with the content. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, so grounded, open, and present, or grounded, present, and open, is 3 very simple words that I use as anchors to help to remind us how to be relaxed and expansive, that feeling of expansion, of feeling safe, open, and with a clear mind, so that we're not being pulled into stressful situations and being identified to this relentless stream of thoughts that can, you know, create a little bit of uneasiness in the body. So to really fulfill our potential, we need to have the grounded relaxation. So what I would invite you to do right now is simply to let go of any thoughts or expectations or ideas that you may have about meditation. Bring your attention to your breath. Connect to your senses, like you're listening for somebody to call you. And start in your belly, bringing your attention into your belly around your hips. Invite that part to relax and open. But let the breath do the work. Let your breath be rhythmic, open and natural. So we're not taking like forced breaths. We're not trying to breathe. The body will breathe on its own. And with each in-breath, you're feeling this energizing. And as you breathe out, this feeling of release. So the legs, the hips, they start to open. And then to bring your attention to your back, your shoulders, your arms. And you can do this quite quickly. Normally it would take about half an hour for this, but we get 2 minutes. So this is the espresso version. Okay. But you may notice wherever you place your attention, this is an important key thing in creating change. Wherever you place your attention, your body will soften. So just kind of going through the body, the neck, the face, arms, hands. In 1 or 2 breaths, really focusing your attention with your intention to relax the body, to be grounded, and notice how it feels. And then being present, simply bringing your attention into the here and now, So not struggling with thoughts, not giving them any juice, just being here and now, connecting to the breath. And being open, this feeling of expansion, to learn something new, to discover something new about yourself, to grow. Okay. And that's something you can bring into your daily life very easily. Just a 2-minute, grounded, present, and open. Okay. Thank you so much. That's my 2.5 minutes, Mia.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you. So I hope that we're all feeling more grounded and settled into this space. And it's about sitting back now and really enjoying the next 40 minutes. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. So with the creative awakening process, and this is what we're going to do a really quick masterclass over, it's really about looking at how can we, as entrepreneurs, change makers and leaders, really align to our creative potential and personal power. But before we get to that, there are some key challenges that entrepreneurs, change makers and leaders face. And there's many, but these are the top 3, which is the work-life balance. A lot of entrepreneurs feel there's a guilt of working too much or not enough, especially when they have a family. There's uncertainty and guilt, especially during this time where people have to make people redundant, or they're walking into the unknown, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Because being an entrepreneur, there is no regular salary, as we know, and there's a lot of uncertainty, especially in these times. And isolation, there's a lot of lack of connection with like-minded people, and sometimes even a lack of connection with ourselves because we're so busy building a business that we don't have time to connect with ourselves. And the Creative Awakening program is really about looking at these key challenges and helping you actually solve them yourself, or find opportunities to resolve these within yourself. So just some ways the Creative Awakening can help you. And these are some of our alumni testimonials, and Rima and Mandeep are both here today. But for Catherine, during the Creative Awakening program, it enabled her to connect with her creative practice and launch her art book. For Rima, it was about connecting with her potential as an entrepreneur and seeing the potential she had while working in a corporate. For Mandeep, it was about connecting with like-minded people and starting her creative practice. So there's many ways that the Creative Awakening can help you. And it is very much like an individual journey, but these are some of the ways that the Creative Awakening process can be helpful to entrepreneurs and creatives and change makers. So this is a 30-minute masterclass. So overall, we can't cover the whole process of the Creative Awakening, which is a 4-part workshop. But what we will cover is gaining insights into noticing self-limiting beliefs. Now, before I even knew the word self-limiting beliefs, I didn't even know I had self-limiting beliefs. But once you get into the process, one of the first things we do on the Creative Awakening is we notice our self-limiting beliefs ourselves, so that we can awaken to them. During this session, we gain access to tools to help you feel more creative in your everyday life, and we learn how to invite more flow into our lives. So these are the 3 outcomes of the next half an hour. So the first thing that we're going to just do is really think about what are self-limiting beliefs, and what are our self-limiting beliefs, and how can we notice them to correct them? Because the very first part of this Creative Awakening process is knowing where we're limiting our own potential. So Peter, it'd be lovely to hear from you. What are self-limiting beliefs, and when we notice what they are, how can we correct them? Thank you.
Okay. Well, self-limiting beliefs are really what it says. They limit us from fulfilling our full potential. We can be our own worst enemies sometimes when we feel that we're not big enough, strong enough. There's too much competition. There can be a lot of reasons where we feel that we hold ourselves back. And the reason for that is that simply we're identified to a belief in ourselves that is limiting. So the first step is to recognize that, and then to take a little bit of a distance from it so that we can start to explore it. Because once we bring it into our awareness, we can invite some understanding around it. Why do I feel like that? What is the root of it? So then we can go into the feelings that may be wrapped around the stories that created that belief. And then from the feelings, we can go even deeper and kind of identify what it is that I need in order to overcome that, to feel more confident, to allow my creativity and my flow to manifest. And once the deeper needs are understood, you know, we start to move into aligning a more balanced lifestyle. Yeah, so creating goals that are doable, that are attainable. So kind of understanding what the positive action is that we need to take in order to really develop ourselves, to fulfill our heart's desire. You know, we all have these kind of dreams and goals and ambitions that excite us, you know, when we sit there and do the blue sky vision boarding, you know, and it's like, oh, this is going to be great, you know, and then the self-limiting belief comes along and it's like, oh, no, I can't do it. So whenever we have that feeling of expansion, of creating an amazing vision board, it's possible, you know, obviously within the constraints of what your abilities are, but it is possible and it is worth pursuing and evolving and really exploring. And this is the path of self-discovery, of realizing yourself. How do I attain to that? So the first step is really to acknowledge that what I'm doing is maybe not exactly what I would love to do. Yeah. And then finding through observation, through the practice of presence, what it is that I need to explore in myself that's maybe in my subconscious, my unconscious, that I'm not aware of, that I can bring it to the surface and then start to create change.
Thank you so much, Peter. And just to kind of recap up on the group chat, self-limiting beliefs are ideas that we have about ourselves that we identify with that hold us back. And that's a really beautiful way of saying it. The ideas that we have about ourselves that we identify as being true that hold us back. Wonderful. And this is really, the self-limiting belief is the barrier to creating this compelling future for ourselves. Because while we have this identification with something that really isn't true, that's holding us back, it stops us from creating this beautiful, majestic future that we're trying to create, especially in times of Corona where there's so much uncertainty, and every time we make a plan, things change, or as entrepreneurs, you know, people have to make redundancies, and there's so much uncertainty. So the next thing that'd been really nice to hear from you, Peter, is how do we create, you know, how can we create a compelling future for ourselves? So once we've identified the self-limiting beliefs, how can we create a compelling future for ourselves away from these thoughts that we've identified with, which are not true? Thank you. Yeah. Big question, but yeah.
It's a big question. So
big question.
In a nutshell answer, okay. Because it's a whole talk in itself, really, creating a compelling future. Now, when we start to think about manifesting something, we were always focused on the outside. We're kind of thinking about how it's going to look, what I'm going to do, who I'm going to do it with. And what can happen then is it can become quite frustrating because we're running around trying to pull everything together. And it's almost like the present moment becomes an obstacle to try and achieve something. So I'm not going to fulfill my potential until I get there. Yeah. So when we start to go into what I call the practice of presence, which was the short meditation that we did at the beginning. So being grounded, present, and open. And what happens is that our attention becomes more focused in the here and now, very simply. And this is where our power lies. Because you'll notice when you get stressed, your mind's running around, it's thinking about things that happened in the past and things you've got to do in the future. So like 80% of our energy is kind of just going into mental dialogue that's not really productive. So where we become productive and clear and focused and inspired and loving and happy is by bringing our attention into the here and now. So finding the tools, the techniques that really allow you to do that. And then from there, the compelling future doesn't necessarily need to be objective. Yeah. It can be, especially in these times, it's like, well, I don't know what to do right now because, you know, the travel industry shut down or whatever the reason is. I can't run a hotel. I have to close my restaurant. There's a lot of people who suddenly their future has just been taken away from them. So then what we do is we bring our attention, okay, well, this is the reality. So acceptance is very important. This is part of being open, having the capacity to accept the reality of what is. So there's no point in resisting it or fighting or complaining and criticizing and, you know, just wasting energy on complaining about stuff. It's not going to help. So creating a compelling future starts in the here and now. And then what that can be, where it can start with, if you're into journaling or whatever. But how is it you would like to feel? And then through that grounding, present, opening practice, then you can start to feel that in the here and now. And the wonderful thing is that the more rooted you can become in the center of all that chaos, without being pulled into all the dramas and the events that are going on around us, then the more likely you're going to be open and available to being inspired, for having some creative ideas arise. But the first step, the most important fundamental step, is to find that center within yourself. And then not only how would I like to feel in the future, but accessing a state of flow or a peak state right here and right now. And it's available to you because it's your natural essential self. Yeah, it never goes away. It's your consciousness, your sense of I. And it's only when we give our attention to the thinking mind and all the stories in the past and the future that we're no longer in the room. So we're still there. Those resources are still there. That energy, that aliveness, the joy, the enthusiasm is still all there. That feeling of expansion. But when we move into the past and the future, we start to contract. So creating a compelling future, start by the acknowledgement and the gratitude for this moment. And then from there, you give space for inspiration to arise and how to move forward.
Thank you so much for putting that so beautifully, Peter. Thank you. And just to recap, I've got the recaps. What Peter was mentioning is that we need to tune into our, just overall, I know Peter said in a much, beautiful, much more elegant way, but it's really tuning into our real needs and desires, like really understanding what these real needs are. To learn to access our true desires and not be hijacked by self-limiting beliefs. And I think this is what we were talking about with the what we've identified as not being true. And even things like what's going to happen in the future, or negativity or fear. I mean, these are all in a way self-limiting beliefs. And then focus on here and now. And I think this is what Peter's very much sharing about being grounded, present, and open. Focusing on what is right in front of us here and now, without allowing ourselves to be hijacked by thoughts and stresses of the future, which may not happen, because our power is not in the future, it's in the now. I hope I don't know, I hope I've put that into little brackets, but I hope that's what defines that part. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've talked a little about self-limiting beliefs and how do we create this majestic future for us? How do we really step into the creativity, and the creativity power that we have is in the now? Again, in the creative awakening process, we talk a lot more about this and the different processes. But as a simple, quick takeaway, we'd like to share with you tools that you can use right now after this masterclass to feel more creative in your everyday life. And there's three processes to incorporating these tools into your everyday life. It's about having the commitment, the intention, and the connection. And what I will do is actually I will stop sharing my screen and ask Peter, when we're trying to incorporate these tools to be more grounded and present and open in our everyday life, what do we mean by commitment, intention, and connection? Why are these important in the practice we're trying to build?
Yeah. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you.
Commitment is really making sure that you're willing to do the work, because life is hard. The challenges that we're facing now, both globally and personally. I'm sure we're always kind of being challenged with stuff. So there needs to be a really clear commitment within yourself, like to get up every day and to take a step forward in what you're doing. And sometimes that can be hard. And especially when we get pushed back by life, when suddenly our business is shut down, for example, and it may seem that things are not great. So that we need to have a commitment to keep going with the intention. Now, the word intention, I love this word, because when you split it in two, it's simply inner tension. Inner tension, yes. So there needs to be a little bit of drive, a kind of a feeling of moving forward, so that we're not allowing challenges to collapse us. We get into that kind of slippery slope of just like, again, coming back to the self-limiting beliefs that I can't do it, it's too much, So this feeling of intention to really move forward, and connecting to your deeper needs is kind of, again, just being grounded, open, and present. So if you're going to take away anything, it would be really those three words for today. But the intention, that having a clear intention to not to force it. It's not through will. You know, you're not kind of creating things through will. It's like holding a butterfly. It's very gentle. But then what you're doing with that intention is you're making a connection to your deeper needs, to who you are, to what is unique and special about you, because every single human being is unique and special. And having a connection to yourself, and then expanding that. It's this feeling of expansion, that you connect with others, your environment, your teams, your families, your colleagues, in a energized way. So you're in a more positive state of mind, which is flow, or a peak state, which is where we would love to be pretty much every day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Peter. And I will just to highlight on what we've discussed. To create more, what we need is, as Peter said, commitment, the intention to the commitment, and then the connection with the practice. And in terms of real practical things that we can do, starting from today, is allocate time for yourself, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour a day, to really connect, to feel more grounded, to feel more present, to feel more open. To act it, and and allow yourself to get to these peak states throughout the day. And I think what I have found really works is sometimes we don't have an hour and a half in the day, but actually having 20 minutes in the morning and then a lunchtime to break up, to feel that groundedness and connection with the power that we have in the now, and is really helpful. And then refresh that connection wherever possible. So as Peter said, it won't be that you'll kind of do a bit of meditation or reflection for 20 minutes in a day and then you just go and have this crazy hectic life. It's about just being aware and present throughout the day as much as we can. That we are a creative being and we have the potential to really shift things, and to kind of affirm that to ourselves throughout the day. I hope I've explained that, Peter.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed a couple of points that you
No
got.
worries. I think what we all want, and I think we all want this, is to invite more flow into our lives. And I think we've all, for the whole process of this, we just want flow to happen in our lives, where things just serendipitously happen and there's synchronicity, and we're in that state of peak where everything just flows so beautifully, and we meet the right person at the right time, and the right taxi comes. So I think we all, whether we're entrepreneurs or not, we all want this more flow into our lives. And I find that sometimes, we are the resistance to the flow. So when we get out of the way, the flow comes in our lives. So it's like a mindset shift of letting go and allowing things to kind of flow. What I have found is really great entrepreneurs and change makers, they can flow, but they can also be very strategic. So the mind can be I'll flow throughout the day, and then suddenly it's like razor sharp focus. And I think this is to do with a lot of training, and some people naturally have it, and some we need to train it. You need to train yourself to do this. But I'll just highlight a little bit, and then I'll let Peter share more. But the way to kind of create more flow is to find a technique that works for you, that brings you into the present and now. And it can be meditation, and Peter does some great meditations on Instagram, I think daily. There's great apps that you can use, but even just going for a run. A lot of entrepreneurs say, when they first started their businesses, they lost their connection with physical exercise. And one of the things they've worked on is like really building that physical exercise routine in their lives, and that actually makes them feel more flow. So there's different ways that you can do this. Practicing this every day and making a commitment to yourself. I think sometimes we say, we don't have time for ourselves, we don't have time for meditation or yoga or going for a run. But I think the most important thing that we must do is commit to our own personal growth. And really connecting with our deeper needs, and really understanding what is it that we really want. Is it that we want to create a multi-million-dollar business, or is it something else that we want? What is it that heart truly desires? And then kind of knowing that, and then having that as kind of the North Star to kind of go to. And throughout all this, and Peter will explain this a bit more, it's about feeling expansion. So it's about noticing when we feel expansive, and we feel joy, and this is the indicator that we're going towards flow. But if you'd like to maybe share a little bit more about how do we invite this flow into our lives, that'd be wonderful, Peter. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So from the first point, Mia, is finding a technique. So there's We're all a bit different, our modalities. Some people are more visual, some people more auditory. It can be, some people like to meditate with music or simply to relax with music. I wouldn't get too hooked up in the word meditation. It's more just finding a state of being where you feel at ease, peaceful and expansive. So whatever works for you, try, explore around bookshops, Google it, whatever. But whatever it is that you do, then do it every day. So again, there's a commitment part, which is the second point, to make a commitment to yourself. And it's the key word here for me is committing to your own well-being, which means to find activities, people, and situations that are nourishing for you. So when you, for example, when your body relaxes, it's a happy body. It loves to relax. The body doesn't like being stressed, So it's the same with our being. To be well, we need to find these sources of nourishment and be committed to, staying with them and avoiding the situations that are not nourishing, very simply, And then connecting with our deeper needs, through that practice, you'll find that more and more that you become more authentic to what's really nourishing for you. And it can mean also saying goodbye to some things and hello to new things, which is fine. But that can be a bit difficult if you're, in a situation where, it's no longer nourishing for you. That's what happens. It's just life, but we need to be honest about that. So making that connection to yourself, to your deeper needs, what is genuinely nourishing for me, and then honoring that, which is the commitment and the practice to really honor yourself, because by honoring yourself, then you honor the others around you, because you're going to be a happier, more loving, more open person. So everybody's going to benefit from that, rather than being stressed out and restless. And when things get too much, we're not nice people to be around. Okay, so it's a simple truth. So you have to explore for yourself what is the balance for you, what is really, the satisfaction point. And a final little thing about these, moving into a flow, is that what I've found for many people who, especially if they've already been highly successful, found that it's not very satisfying, so that I've achieved a multi-million-dollar business, but I'm still not satisfied. Why is that? And very often a deep sense of satisfaction can come from very small things, can come from being very simple. It doesn't need to be achieving great, building empires. So it's also like taking moments to look for the small things, having a walk with your family, stopping to smell the roses, just taking a breath, enjoying a cup of tea, being present with small things will go a long way to fulfilling your ultimate goals or achieving an ongoing sense of satisfaction. Because from there, when you can do that, just being grateful for small things, one of the key things in achieving success within and without, and finding that balance, is gratitude. Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you. And just to recap on those key points, and I think what we're trying to really do is identify, when do we feel the state of flow? I think that's the key. When do we feel the sense of groundedness, open and present? And if we've never had this feeling, or we've never had that ability to we have never had the time to really look and say, how am I feeling and how am I connecting with our emotions? This is just to kind of to recap. So what we can do right now from today is start by connecting with how we are feeling in the present moment and invite these feelings into our life, which is feeling a groundedness. This is feeling empowered, confident, and supported. So as Peter said, maybe journaling or looking at when in the day do you feel empowered, confident, and supported, because it's about noticing these things and then having more of that. Present, this feels nourishing. We feel at ease in our body. And I think this is why exercise and having a healthy exercise routine really helps, because then we can, really kind of working with our body and what it can do for us and respect it and treat it in a really nice way is allowing us to feel more present. And then how does being open feel? Well, it feels joyous and expansive. So when we feel expansive and open and a lot of joy, that's just the feeling of joy. Okay, so that's so I would say, and maybe the very first step is to actually start to record moments during the day when you feel these things, and then sort of invite more of this into your life. Someone said to me, and I think it was a really good good tool, said, if you're not quite sure what makes you feel flow or joy, think about what made you feel joy when you were 3 or 4. So if we can remember that, how we felt when we were 3 or 4, what was the feeling that we had? That is probably our authentic feeling of joy and flow. Okay, so just as a quick, so that was a really quick masterclass on how we can connect with our creative power and build our majestic future, regardless of what's happening in the now, the uncertainties of now. And it's all about connection with the here and that now, and little processes that we can do for our everyday life. We'll be doing our Creative Awakening program, the next cohort, soon in a couple of weeks, and we'll go much more into all of this, and there'll be opportunity to work in groups and share and journal and have practice on this and come back with questions, which I think is needed for this process, which is a lifelong process in many ways, but we're doing a 4-week intensive on it. So if you're interested in learning more about the Creative Awakening and being part of our community and getting the amazing insights from Peter and really connecting with like-minded people on their journey of personal growth and entrepreneurship, then do join our Creative Awakening program from the 9th to the 30th of March, where we'll be learning how to break free from self-limiting beliefs. We'll experience our power as a creative being, and we'll develop more flow in our life that will lead to more action and have the results that we want. And I think this is really important. We're doing all this to create action. So everything that we're doing now, it's about how can I be the best version of myself to create action in the world. So the Creative Awakening timeline, workshop 1 is Ground and Heal. It's on every Tuesday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Local time, so Gulf Central time. Workshop first is Ground and Heal, and we're looking at how we honor our worth. How can we honor our worth and respect ourselves? And it's all about respecting who we are and what we can create. Workshop 2 is I Manifest and I Deserve, which is really looking at how we are the creator of our experience and owning that creative power. Workshop 3 is I See and I Express, and it's about speaking our truth. And I think this is such an important one, because there's no point knowing all these things if we can't express it. So really opening up the throat and expressing what we feel and what we see. And then I think workshop 4 is really about merging with infinite possibilities, knowing that we live in a world of infinite possibilities. And actually, we have the power to create whatever we desire once we learn these tools and really believe in our abilities as creative beings. So that is the Creative Awakening program. And I know a couple of the alumni are here today, and we have a wonderful community in the Creative Awakening who just love to share and support each other. And there's some brilliant entrepreneurs and from around the world in the alumni who really work together and want to support each other on this journey of personal growth. And thank you, Tarun, because Tarun is on the Creative Awakening group. He's on the alumni, and he created this beautiful slide. Thank you, Tarun, for everything that looks nice is always Tarun. But there's a little video to show how you can apply for the Creative Awakening program. You can go on the website, and all the course content is there. And you just need to submit your details, and then we will get back to you with the register when it's available to register for. And the deadline for submissions is March the 2nd. So thank you. So that was our Creative Awakening Masterclass. And now we are going to open the floor for questions. And questions is such an important part of what we do. And I know there's been some really interesting questions come up. So I hope that you saw my screen as I was sharing it, or was I just talking to myself? I don't know. Okay. I hope that you can see my screen. Okay. So some really interesting questions have come up, and we've got about 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes to answer them. Do you have any recommendations on how teenagers can keep themselves grounded and calm with screen time being inevitable, with their learning and social interactions limited? Is there such baggage teenagers carry and very few outlets for them to release them? So I think this question, Peter, is about how do you support teenagers to feel grounded and calm? And I think this is a big question that's come up a lot for a lot of people who are homeschooling their kids, and they want to know how can they keep their children sane and calm and grounded?
Yes, I've heard that also, and it's a great question, and it's so important because and I'm sure we can all understand it must be very difficult for, teenagers who are just full of energy that are being confined to the house. So the first thing about supporting, family and especially kids is to be grounded, present, and open in yourself, so that you're in a good resourced place. So kind of setting a good example. In terms of if, the kids are, on the phones or on a device all day, then obviously it's not very healthy. So you need to find out other activities or distractions that can keep them entertained and also educated. So having an open dialogue, connecting, again, we're coming back to the connection part, and simply ask them, how do you feel? What do you need? So really being open with their kids to really trust what their experience is, and to let them feel that you might not necessarily have all the answers for them, but they're being heard and they're being understood. So it's kind of parent-child relationship, which is, I'm sure a lot of people will know this already. It's just being there for them, and just seeing what comes out from there. And maybe, instead of going on screen, having a board game, playing a board game together, finding opportunities to get some fresh air, to go for a walk if that's possible. But also, yeah, to be very mindful when you see if your teenager, especially around 14 or 15, if they're starting to go down into a kind of like slump, to really be present with them, to find out what's going on and what they need in order to kind of give them a compelling future.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Peter. And there's a couple of, about 3 or 4 questions, so we'll try and answer them all. And someone has asked, what is creative journaling? And is this something that can help me as part of the creative awakening? So yeah, if you could share, Peter, what is creative journaling and how does this help in the creative awakening process? Thank you.
Okay, well, creative journaling is really exploring where you are in the areas of what I call the 5 pillars of challenge. So home, health, relationships, work, and money. These are all areas where we're challenged. So by journaling, you can start to write down, okay, home, where I am now and where would I like to be? And you start to define the difference. And by starting to kind of journal things, and then even by drawing, sometimes we get into creative drawing, you start to invite more clarity about your life situation. And as soon as you bring more clarity into your life situation, you become more empowered and able to change it. So that's really what it is.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And Mandeep has asked, so thanks for sharing, Peter and Mia. Peter, can you share more about symbol making? As I found the symbol making so powerful and really makes you connect with our intentions. So if you could share, I think the symbol making was probably one of my most enjoyable things, but yeah, if you could share about what is the whole symbol making process and why does it make us connect with our intentions in the way it does? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, the very short answer, because it's a great question, Mandeep, so it's quite a big one. But really, in a nutshell, our subconscious, unconscious mind that creates dreams understands symbols. It doesn't really work with language. Language, words, is of the mind. So in order to bypass self-limiting beliefs and directly accessing the power of our subconscious or unconscious, we use symbols. So by creating a symbol with an intention that's in a way charged with emotion, we start to bring more intention into an alignment with our deeper needs and where we want to go. And through that process, we start to open up and to synchronize with opportunities and people that can allow that to happen and flower. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the very short answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a long process, I guess. It's yeah, but definitely it's powerful, the drawing, and it's, yeah, like I say, it goes into the subconscious, and it's like creative journaling. It just goes into the subconscious and allows us to create things that we did not really know were even there. And Matrua asks, when as a team, and I think this is such an important one, when you're a team, how can you coexist, cooperate, perform with a not so open-minded person? And I think this is such an important one because especially when we work with teams, you have to still coexist and work together. But what if the person isn't so open-minded, or isn't, you know, cooperative and doesn't think in this way? How do you handle them, Peter? That's, I think, such an important one to discuss.
Yeah, and I completely understand that question, and it's very difficult. So one of the key things is, well, it depends who the person is. If it's the boss who's running the show, then obviously I would recommend get another job. But the key thing is to expose how you feel with this person. So, for example, you know, if the situation is there where you can say, you know, I find it very difficult to work with this person, and then to get a consensus with your team, it depends on the structure. You know, if it's a hierarchical structure, then it's very difficult, because what can happen in a hierarchy is the person that's being very difficult can be very a bit manipulative, the way they communicate up the chain, you know. So, and it can get kind of messy. So if you're in a situation that feels kind of sticky and unproductive, and then the first question to ask is, well, do I really want to stay in this environment? But if you are committed to staying in the environment, then you need to start to have an open communication with all the people involved. You know, so whether it's just starting to a couple of colleagues at your level, if it's in a hierarchical situation, and then just to build a consensus so that you're not isolated with this opinion. The other thing is not to directly attack that person to make them feel wrong. They're very simply in a process. They're functioning in the way that they feel is right for them. So it's not to be judgmental about it, but at the same time be authentic and clear about what it is and how it is for you in that environment. Build consensus with some colleagues, you know, talk to whoever you need to talk to in order to start to look for a solution. Yeah. The other thing is very often depending on the personality type of this person, but don't try and change them, because very often you'll just be met with resistance. But certainly when you stay with your own process, communicate that with clearly, get support, bring it out into the open. And then from there, you can make a decision whether it's right for you to stay or to move on.
Thank you so much, Peter. And I think that goes to boundaries as well, because it's one of the things that I think is important in these situations is that, you know, especially when you work in teams, and if you're a completely giving person, sometimes, you know, you need to create those boundaries, I guess, that, you know, making sure that, you know, your needs are met as well, and then you're not just continuously giving, because I think especially in teams when you have an empath, that can often happen as well, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah.
another very important point on that is not to, you know, don't sell yourself short. Don't compromise your integrity and allow yourself to be manipulated by somebody who's, you know, playing a game or whatever, you know. So really, you know, it's fine to say no, like you were saying. Yeah.
And that's what
Boundaries.
I know my worth. The first session, I know my worth. So yeah,
Yes, that's right.
Don't undersell myself. Perfect. And Jamie, hi Jamie, welcome from London. And Jamie asks, how do we fight beliefs about certain realities such as age, skills, physical energy? So I guess it's how do we fight beliefs about certain realities, which I think is an interesting one, because sometimes we do have that where we think, oh, I'm a certain age, I can't do this anymore. My skills are not good enough. I can't do this. Or I don't have the energy. How do we fight those limiting beliefs that we think are grounded in reality?
Yeah, but the first step, hi Jamie, great question. Or Jimena, is it? Yes,
Jimena, so yes.
Jimena, okay. So yeah, thank you for your question, Jimena, and it's very good. So the first thing is I wouldn't recommend fighting your beliefs, you know. So it's a bit like there's a part of you, a belief is a part of you that you've that needs to be understood, that's looking for something to be understood. So if you think, oh, I'm too old, and then that's a belief. But then why do you think you're too old? Well, too old for what? I mean, okay, I might be too old now. For example, I'm never going to go to the Olympic Games and win a gold medal, right? So that's because I'm, you know, too old for that. But at the same time, you know, it's what I've found is that the grounded, present, and open state, you know, moving into a state of flow is energizing, you know. So from there, there's also an acceptance and a state of an acceptance, you know. So for example, if you have a physical limitation, you know, if your skills, like for example, I'll never be a concert pianist, you know, so I just simply accept that. And in terms of age, well, ages of the mind, every few years, the new 40 is now, it's now 65, I think, or even 70, so recognize the beliefs. Don't fight with them, because all you'll be doing is giving them energy. See if you can understand them, give them some space, and be gentle with yourself. So there's non-judgment, acceptance, and loving kindness. It's kind of a heart space thing where you're nourishing yourself. Again, we're coming back to the point of, like, how do I nourish myself? What is nourishing for me that gives me this expansive feeling? So focus on that rather than focusing on fighting the negative parts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And also, I think guessing who is actually my thought to be, who are these beliefs of? Are they my beliefs or society's beliefs? Who's saying these things? And I think, and we've only got like less than 1 minute, but Rima asks about how, about writing intentions. What are your thoughts on that? I would say, maybe I would just say, I think writing your intentions in the present, like I have this, I do this, I am happy, as if it's already happened, is a very powerful way of, like, actually in a way manipulating even the mind to believing it's already here. But Peter, if you can maybe 30 seconds on that, and then for one last question, then I think we've got 1 minute left. But what are your thoughts on writing your visualizations down?
Okay, so I'll give you a very powerful trick. Don't focus on the outside, focus on how you want to feel. So list the 5 areas, the 5 pillars of challenge, as I call them: home, health, work, relationships, and money. And very simply, write down in a few lines or even a few words, how would you like to feel in each of those areas? So you might start, how do I feel now? Or how would I like to feel? So then you can see which ones, there may be 2 or 3 where you want to make an improvement. And there you go, you've set some intentions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Peter. And this will be recorded as well for anyone that needs it. And then the last thing, I think maybe the quick one, what is the story of the Drunken Monk? And we'll end with that. Someone, Bob asks, what is the story of the Drunken Monk?
Okay. Well, very quickly, the Drunken Monk started off as the Drunken Monkey, because I've enjoyed practicing martial arts for many years, and not so much now, but the Drunken Monkey is a technique where the master looks like he's kind of, all loose and not focused. But that didn't Google very well. And also I wasn't quite sure about the monkey part. So, but it was born out of a Kung Fu technique. But the Drunken Monk is essentially bringing the East and the West together. So living in the world, celebrating the world, and living it in all its aspects, very much like Dubai, the celebration of life, this expansion and abundance, but bringing the inner world. The monk part represents the inner, bringing that internal capacity to to be grounded, present, and open, to be peaceful, satisfied, contented, and inspired. So bringing those inner and outer world into balance.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter. And I know there's more questions, and I wish we had more time, because the questions are getting so interesting now. How do I reduce anxieties and expectations of others? Is happiness, meaning, simplicity in life? What about controlling dreams? I mean, these are amazing questions. We don't have time. What I would say is do connect with me and Peter online, and then I think we'll both be happy to share our thoughts. So the slides will go out afterwards, as long as that email details. So I think that's it. So thank you to everyone. Thank you for Peter for joining us from the mountains of Italy. Thank you for everyone for coming, and TiE for hosting us. Thank you to everyone. And over to Sana. Thank you.
Wow, this was a fabulous 1 hour. And I really felt it was not really 1 hour. I felt like it was maybe 10, 12 minutes. Thank you so much, really, Peter, and thank you, Mia. Really, I feel genuinely enriched, and I feel more energized. There is some very calm, positive energy while I'm walking out of this session. Just for the attendees, I would just put it down. It's so hard for you to bring this whole 1-day exercise into this 1 hour session. Thank you so much for that. This 1 hour masterclass has helped us explore the principles of creative awakening and how, as leaders and entrepreneurs or as change makers, we can connect with our personal power and recharge to create an engaging and a majestic future, regardless of self-limiting beliefs and of global uncertainties. This is exactly how beautifully Mia has put this forward. And I would love to bring it to light again, these words. And thank you, Mia, and thank you, Peter, so much for this.
Thank you, Sana and Cicely and everyone for joining us. And please do connect with us, where we have a beautiful community that always is there to help each other grow and really, you know, like create our visions. So please do share with us. We're a very open community. Thank you.
Yes, and from my side also, I'd like to thank Sana and TiE and Mia for inviting me to this session. I've really enjoyed it, and I really hope that there's some nice takeaways for people. And thank you for your kind words, Sana. I'm glad you're feeling energized. So me too. I very, very much enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you very soon.